It's retirement month. Welcome to the Money Rules podcast, where we tackle your personal financial matters with leading financial advisors. Your host, Boitumelo Ntsoko.
I'm Boitumelo Ntsoko. This October, we're bringing you an exclusive 4-part video series on all things retirement. In this episode, I'm joined by Torr, who is a certified financial planner at Crue Invest. We'll be discussing how stay-at-home parents can save for retirement. Hi, Craig.
Hi, Sumi. Thanks so much for having me on your show again. Thank you.
If you have decided to be a stay-at-home parent, what are some of the steps that you need to take regarding your existing retirement funds when resigning?
Look, I think the best thing to do is to go and do a complete overhaul of your financial plan, because there may be one or two benefits that you hadn't even considered that you could potentially be losing. For example, if you're a member of a pension fund, that can come with life and disability benefits, which would fall away. So it's important just to look at your entire financial plan from the start. And I guess the most obvious thing is the person who's decided to stay at home would be given the option of cashing in or preserving their retirement fund benefits. And, we always encourage very strongly to preserve those retirement fund benefits rather than to spend that money on something else. So that would be a big part of it.
Should you consider a partial withdrawal to invest in a discretionary investment for perhaps emergency funding?
Yeah, to me, it's difficult to give sort of advice in isolation, not knowing what the full picture is, but you would certainly want to be sure that there is some emergency funding available. The risks of having a single income earner for the family are even greater than obviously if there's two income earners. So you certainly want to make sure that you make provision for that. The first prize would be to not take it from the retirement funding, because there are tax consequences and you would give up on the benefit of compounding that money over a lifetime. But if that were the only option, it is a possibility, but certainly not first prize.
And should the stay-at-home parents' retirement funding be factored into the new family budget?
Yes, it potentially should be, but again, cash flow would determine, what is doable and what is not doable. Then there wouldn't necessarily be any tax benefit to the stay-at-home parent putting money into a retirement fund, simply because they wouldn't be earning taxable income potentially. So it might be more sensible to maximize the retirement fund tax advantage in the spouse that is working in their respective retirement funds, and just look to build more in that spouse's retirement fund at that stage.
Now, with the current economic uncertainty, retrenchments are a reality for some people. So should you have a plan B in case the one spouse loses their job?
Yeah, and I think everyone talks about these sort of magical numbers, 3 months worth of expenses, but it's quite a big target to chase down. Typically an access bond can serve as a backstop. So it's always useful to have access to cash, even when times are good, contributing more than is necessary to one's bond can serve a purpose in that regard.
And what are other ways that you can possibly secure your retirement funding?
So it's always a good idea, if you are going to be the stay-at-home parent, to look at ways of generating income using your skills that you have. It's unlikely that your children are going to be needing you indefinitely in the manner that they would in those first sort of 5 or so years before they go to school. And what you don't want to do is sort of lose touch with the job market. So we always encourage the stay-at-homes to just keep themselves mentally stimulated in the field that they were trained in or worked in, and not to lose touch. And if possible, even generate some income. In which case, obviously, that can be added to even the discretionary investment. if that income that they generate is not necessarily taxable because it falls below the tax threshold, could be a very good idea to build a discretionary investment in that stay-at-home spouse's name, just to add to their retirement one day.
And would it be worth it to take life cover on your spouse as well?
Yeah, I think that goes with the financial plan review. One of the big things that people forget is if you've done your plan with 2 incomes and suddenly you're down to 1, the reliance on that person is potentially even greater. So the need for insurance on that one sort of salary on that one life could even be more initially, because it's pretty obvious that you would only decide to be a stay-at-home if you've got the added dependent in the equation as well. So a very good idea to do a complete overview of your financial plan at that stage when you're making that decision.
Now, if your partner is unwilling to help contribute towards your retirement funding, do you have any financial planning or legal recourse available to you?
Sure, I'd say just get rid of the guy. Yeah, look, I think financial planning and raising a family is very much teamwork. So, there needs to be consensus and a plan that you both agree to. I'd be seriously worried about having a child with someone who didn't want to build a joint retirement plan with you. I think that would be a little alarm bell.
Now, how does your marital contract come into play when it comes to your retirement funding and being a stay-at-home parent?
Yeah, you've just got to be aware of how you're married. If you married in community, obviously the sort of division of your retirement assets will be looked at differently, to being married out of community. So it's important just to be aware of what that situation, should it arise, what the impact would be on the stay-at-home mom or stay-at-home parent, I should say.
And then for parents who are not necessarily married, but maybe in a long-term partnership, what protection should they afford themselves?
It's probably not a bad idea to have some sort of cohabitation agreement in place and seek the advice of a reputable financial planner so you can plan for those eventualities. Most of the problems that we see are because people haven't had a plan in place, and it's a little more difficult to resolve an issue, when it's already happened, then it could be in anticipation of it. So just to structure things correctly up front.
Thank you, Craig. That was Craig Torr, who is a certified financial planner at Crue Invest.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Money Rules Podcast. To listen to more, go to moneyweb.co.za or the Moneyweb app and follow Moneyweb News for daily updates. Money Rules. Moneyweb, your trusted source for business and investment insight.